Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I am going to be telling you how to become a registered nurse in Canada, in Newfoundland to be specific. Now Canada has got 10 provinces, okay? Each province has got their own regulatory body for nurses, all right? Each of them has got their own requirements and they've got different requirements, all right? I'm telling you about Newfoundland because I am based in Newfoundland. Being a registered nurse in Newfoundland does not give you the rights as a registered nurse to work in any other province unless you transfer your license. All right. So if you're a registered nurse in Newfoundland and you want to go to BC, for example, and work, you cannot just leave Newfoundland and go there and work and say it's because you're in Canada. No, you have to go there and register all over. So basically what you could do is transfer your license from Newfoundland to BC, which is a process. I would not go into that right now. Okay. So in order to get your license in Newfoundland, you need to go onto CRNNL and create a profile. Okay. When you create a profile, you will upload 2 government ID. All right. Now you could upload 2 government ID of your choice. It could be your passport and your driver's license, or it could be your driver's license and your government issued ID. Is whichever you choose. All right. After you've done that, CRNNL, you will have to pay a fee. Okay. Once you pay if you don't pay the fee, they will not start to process your application. So you have to pay the fee. All right. And then you would upload all your documents which they will request from you. All right. Now, once you've gone through that process, you would also need your ECA, which is Educational Credential Assessment. You would also need a police check, and you would also need the Board of Nursing wherever you register, whichever country you are coming from. I use NMC because I came from the UK. All right. Now, let's go back a little bit here. This program is only for registered nurses. It is for registered nurses that is registered under a nursing body in their country. So if you do not have a license, this is not for you. This is for licensed international nurses. All right. And when I say licensed international nurses, I mean your license has to be up and running. It cannot be lapsed or dormant. It has to be an active license in the country that you're coming from. All right. Once your license is active, you can apply for this program. All right. And it has to be active throughout the process of your application. Okay. And so once you've done all of that, now you have to do your credential check. Your credential check could be done via WES. All right, which you'll have to pay a fee for WES program, because WES will do all the will apply to your university to get your credentials and stuff like that. And that's another video. You will have to go on WES and also create a file to get that process going. Okay, or you could use NNAS, or you could use CGFNS. All right. Those are the ones that I know. There is others that you could use as well, but those are the ones that I know, and I think those ones are cheaper than the others. All right, I used WES. All right, and I think I paid something like $350 or $340 or something like that for them to do my credential check in the UK. All right. After you've done all of that, CRNNL will check. Once WES has sent back your credentials and everything has come back to CRNNL, once they have received all your documents, they will assess your credentials, they will assess your file and see if you are compatible with Canadian registration, basically. Okay. Once they are happy and you are compatible with Canadian registration, they will give you a provisional registration. All right. The provisional registration now will allow you to apply for your ATT, authorization to test for Nclex, if you have not taken the Nclex. Now listen to me carefully. If you have not taken the Nclex before leaving your country, they will give you the ATT where you have to take the Nclex. Okay, that's the authorization to take the Nclex. But before we get there, so you will get a provisional registration. Okay, provisional registrations means that you are eligible to apply for Nclex. All right, now having provisional registration does not mean that you have a license to practice. It is basically registration, so it will give you 3 years. Now before we get here, basically let's go back a step. CRNNL is happy that you are compatible with their registration here in Newfoundland. They would give you a provisional registration, not a license. They will give you a provisional registration for 3 years. Okay, so you have to pass your Nclex within that 3 years if you have not passed your Nclex as yet. All right, now there's also an interim license which you could apply for during the time you're studying for your Nclex. Now with the interim license, they've got 2 different interim licenses. They've got an interim license with no restrictions. So the interim license with no restrictions, that means that CRNNL is happy for you to practice with no restrictions. You can work in any area and you've got no restrictions. All right, now the only thing with that is that I think you have some form of supervision. Okay, so you will be working alongside a senior nurse. So that senior nurse would be, you will be shadowing that senior nurse. However, you will be getting your salary as an RN still. All right. Once you get your provisional license, if you want to go ahead and apply for an interim license, you could apply for an interim license and practice as a nurse, but it's more like of a graduate nurse. Basically, you will be practicing. You don't have any restrictions, but you'll be practicing as a graduate nurse. All right, here in Newfoundland, they do not, I don't think they have that at the moment, but in other provinces, I believe they do. That's another video. I'll do another video with that one. Okay, but that's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to practice as a graduate nurse within Newfoundland once you have an interim license. Now the interim license, as I say, you've got 2. You've got the restricted interim and you've got a non-restricted interim. With the non-restricted interim, you could practice within any area. With the restricted interim, you cannot practice within every area. The restricted interim license is for nurses that do not have all the requirements, but CRNNL is happy to provide you with an interim license. However, you have to do additional courses, but you're restricted to practice within certain areas. All right, so say for example you were practicing as a nurse in the UK, right, and you were practicing within, let's say you were doing pediatrics, or you were doing mental health, or whatever the case may be. If you come here with that license, they would allow you to practice within that area only. That's just an example. Okay, you could practice within that area only. You cannot do pediatrics, you cannot do mental health, you cannot do adults. That's the restriction basically. All right, so therefore they will want you to do additional courses to get you up to their standard of practice, where you would have to do all of those areas. Now, to get the interim license, to practice, to get an interim license, you will have to pay a fee of $156, right? I think it's 156, say $157, because there is some change to it. So you say $157, all right? And that interim license is for 4 months. Okay, so you would practice with your interim license for 4 months. However, if you do not have Nclex, because if you're practicing as an interim nurse, that means that you do not have Nclex, right? So you have to do your Nclex within that 4 months, and pass your Nclex, okay, within that 4 months. Once you get your interim license, you would also get along with that your authorization to test, which is your ATT, okay? Once you get your ATT, right, you would you would pay 414 Canadian dollars, 2-person view, to do your Nclex exam, and you will set your date to do your Nclex exam. So once you're ready to set your date, you would pay that $414. All right, 2-person view. Okay, now once you do that and you have your interim license, you could practice as a registered nurse with your interim license with supervision. All right, whilst you're practicing, you're studying for your Nclex. If you fail your Nclex, they will give you another 6 months. Okay, however, if you fail your Nclex, you have to pay another $414 to redo your Nclex. That means you're going to be applying for another ATT. Okay, you're going to be reapplying for another ATT. Okay, and they'll give you 6 months and on your interim license to practice. So you have to pass it within that 6 months. Okay, so that's basically a year. All right, of you practicing. So you really need to pass your Nclex within that year. Okay, now for me, what I did basically, that's another video. Yeah, so you have to pass your Nclex within that year. Okay, in order to continue practicing as a nurse, as a registered nurse, as an RN. Okay, right. Okay, after you pass your Nclex, you would get your full license. All right, you'll have your full RN license to practice as a registered nurse in Newfoundland and Labrador. Okay, you'll have a full license to practice as a registered nurse in Newfoundland and Labrador. You cannot practice in any other province unless you transfer your license from Newfoundland to that province. Let's say BC for example, Alberta for example, or Toronto for example. You have to transfer your license in order to apply as an internationally educated nurse in Canada. Your license, wherever you're coming from, has to be in good standing. When I say in good standing, you cannot have any sort of restrictions on your license or any sort of funny report on your license. You have to have a clean license, otherwise they're not going to accept you. All right, your license has to be clean. Okay, and you has to have a valid license. All right, in order to go through the registration process. Okay, now for what I would say from what I've experienced since I'm here in Canada, in Newfoundland, I cannot speak for the whole of Canada. I can only speak for Newfoundland. Newfoundland at the moment is not short of RN. Listen to what I'm saying. They are not short of RN. Newfoundland at the moment is oversaturated with RN, registered nurses. Okay, because they have got a huge number of registered nurses came in from India, Philippines, Africa, and other parts of the world. Okay, so there's a backlog of nurses right now waiting to start as registered nurses in the system. However, they are very short of LPNs. So if you come to Canada right now and you have an LPN license, you are most likely to get a job faster than an RN. Okay? If you are an LPN or if you want to get a job fast in Newfoundland as an LPN, the door is open to you, because Newfoundland is not short of registered nurses. They are short of LPNs. So right now we have got registered nurses that are working as LPN. Even after passing your Nclex, you will be working as an LPN. And in some facilities in Newfoundland, even after you pass your Nclex, you will be working as an LPN on your floor. Okay, you'll be working as an LPN, you'll be restricted to certain things. However, you would hold an RN license. Yes. Yes, you will hold an RN license, but you will be working as an LPN. And the reason for this is that, which I could understand, the reason for this is that apparently when they open the doors to internationally educated nurses to come to Canada and work with their interim license, a lot of nurses came from different parts of the world, all right? And a lot of these nurses has got no long-term experience. Some of these nurses that came into Newfoundland is very new to nursing. They're very young nurses, so they've got no strong nursing background. They've got no nursing background, no practical nursing background. Some of them don't know how to use their initiatives. Some of them don't know like simple things that you should know. Some of them don't know it, which you cannot blame them because they're fresh out of nursing school and they apply to come to Canada because it was an opportunity for them. Hence, it created a lot of errors. So there was a lot of errors in the system, a lot of errors were made and stuff like that. So because of that, the facility where I am working at the moment, they are not happy to take internationally educated nurses directly as an internationally educated registered nurse. So they'll take you as an LPN, although you have an RN license, they will take you as an LPN and you will work on the floor until they are happy to move you forward as an RN. Okay, and this is once you have your Nclex. Okay, so once you have your Nclex, they'll move you forward as an RN once they're happy with your performance. Okay, now we're dealing with humans here, we're dealing with safety, and safety is a big issue in nursing. If you're not a safe nurse, you will kill patients. So you have to be a safe nurse in order to practice as a registered nurse, because you're talking about humans here. You're talking about humans. You're talking about somebody's life. Okay, so you need to be safe in order to practice as a registered nurse. All right, and take on the responsibility and take on a floor and be able to run that floor and manage whatever is happening in that environment. You'll be managing whatever is happening on the floor. You'll be managing the PCAs, you'll be managing the residents, you will be overall in charge of what's happening there. So you need to know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you will not be safe. You'll be putting life at risk. You'll be putting your license at risk, and you'll be putting your residents at risk and your nurses underneath you. So you have to think about all of this. Okay, so at the moment, if you're an LPN and you want to come to Newfoundland and get a job, jobs are there for you. They are crying out for LPNs, not RNs. All right. At the moment, I think the RN jobs are more in BC. BC at the moment is very short for RN positions.